Transition. All right, we are now live. Hi, I am Kara858, and today we'll bring you episode 8 of Lords of Faerun. As always, we'd like to give a huge thank you to the love and support we've received. We have now more than doubled our followers since Lords of Faerun has begun, which is absolutely mind-boggling. It makes me extremely excited to see that the passion and love that we have for this show is being shared for more people to enjoy. And your interest and enjoyment in our show truly does mean the world to us. I'm excited to bring you today's episode, including our special guest. But first, we have a few things to discuss. We are proud to say that Lords of Faerun is officially sponsored by Die Hard Dice. Die Hard Dice is an incredible company that produces gorgeous dice and dice-associated items like Diana just brought it. Oh, no. Perfect opportunities. Associated items such as dice scrolls, dice trays, dice bags, and more. Recently, Die Hard Dice has collaborated with the Opera Geek, but unfortunately, the Avalor Aria dice is now sold out. However, you can still get the Project Dice Enchanted Condenser set, also by the Opera Geek. They also recently released their Pride product, which includes the gorgeous Horizon Dire D20. However, similarly, many of their Pride items are sold out. So definitely hurry up and head over to Die Hard Dice and use the promo code Faerun, that is Faerun, to get a discount on your purchase. Time to level up your dice. Lords of Faerun is also now partnered with Idle Champions. Idle Champions is one of the biggest D&D games around, and this week they announced a new champion, Prudence from Overture. If you hit the code !code in chat, you will receive a code for a free Electrum chest. This chest provides free premium content to help accelerate your progress in the game, so enjoy. And of course, if you like our show and would like to support us, Lords of Faerun has a Patreon. All the funds sent to our Patreon goes directly to the cast, and the Patreon offers exclusive content like after shows, podcasts, Patreon exclusive Discord channels, and even bonus episodes. And once we reach a certain goal, we will have our shoot for our next bonus episode. More so, the next bonus episode will be determined by our Patreon members. A poll will be generated with ideas of pairings, circumstances, and the winner of the poll will be our next bonus episode. I can't wait to see what our Patreon members choose, and this is just another way of saying thank you for supporting us. Your contributions help us as content creators, and if you're not able to contribute financially but still like to support us, liking, retweeting, and getting the word out there already does so much. When B-Dave says it's all about the algorithm, there's 200% truth to that statement. So it truly does make a major difference, and we appreciate all that you've done for the channel. So now that the announcements and chilling is out of the way, it's time to introduce our cast. And of course, we have to start first with our wonderful guest star, Josephine. Curveball. There we go. Start off early. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Josephine. I will be playing a character named Neriphilia, and you'll find out more about her soon. You can find me at JCVIM on all platforms, basically everywhere. It's at JCVIM. And if you want more D&D in your life, you can find me Tuesday nights on twitch.tv/thatbronzegirl playing D&D 5e in a game called Shakar. It's also all up on YouTube as well. And LA by Night, of course, which season 5 is coming in September. So, that's it.
That's it. Yep. That's all she wrote.
If you watch it, I hate intros. So I'm like,
I thought I was like, oh, curveball right there. Curveball. Fantastic. I keep them on their feet. Make our way down. Of course, you have the fantastic Elisa. Elisa, you'd like to talk about yourself, your projects, and things that you're involved with.
Sure. I'm Elisa Pearl, at Elisa Pearl on Twitter and Instagram. And on Twitch, I stream at Ripley Improv lately. And also, I have my Twitch channel that I will be streaming Portal when I get back into town, probably in a few weeks. And that's Appease Elisa. I play in the Gax Pack Sundays at the GaryCon Live Twitch channel, D&D5e, and I also run a monthly Klingon game called Blood of the Void, the last Mondays of the month at Q Times. And I just wanted to especially shout out, going back to our sponsors for a second, I'm traveling, and having this is great because it just, whoop, look at that. Flat into your suitcase, and I have a traveling dice tray, and it is so great. So thank you, Die Hard Dice, for your sponsorship and for making a travel dice tray. So yeah.
I talk about them all the time, and that's one of the main reasons why I use it constantly on the regular. So they're incredible. Making our way down, we have, of course, every positive word I can always mention. Diana, you'd like to talk about yourself, your projects that you're working on, and everything you're involved in.
Hi, yeah, sure. I'm Diana. I'm Super Dylan everywhere on the internet. I make lots of tabletop RPG related content on Twitter and TikTok. And I stream lots of RPGs all over the place. You can find right now the Neverland 5th edition setting guide that I published last year has recently been updated to include a new subclass and a new adventure. So if you don't have it yet, now is the perfect time. And if you do have it already, check your drive-through RPG inbox for the update. And keep your eyes peeled next month. The Coheed and Cambria games using the Cortex set in the Coheed and Cambria universe for the Omri Wars is coming up soon. So watch out for that. And that's all I'm up to right now.
I like how you didn't mention that your Neverland project was on Critical Hugs. I was like, well,
it was on Critter Hug. Yeah, it was super exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really fun. Mika is really, really so adorable and so nice. And I was really excited that I got to talk to the Marisha Ray's husband. That was a big moment for me. Mr. Ray himself, I did get to speak to. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
100% well played. I'm clipping that for future references. Make our way down. We have the fantastic Ree. Ree, if you'd like to talk about yourself, who you're playing, and of course, your project that you're working on.
Of course. Hello, everyone. I am at Big Dude Ree on the Twitter, and I am currently playing the lovely bard with the silver tongue, Avis Nkwani, who always has something pleasant to say. You can also find me playing Ardris on the lovely Rivenwood Academy, where we are perfect students all the time. And I am being told that we will have another secret project coming for you all very soon. So keep your eyes open.
Yes, I plead the fifth of that one. And last but certainly not least, we have the fantastic Adrian Bear, also known as Aries, who'd like to talk about yourself, who you're playing, and the projects you're involved in.
Good thing. Hey everyone, I'm Aries or Adrian. You can call me either. And you can find me here on Curious Levy channel playing JC Diaz, a wonderful Azamara monk. You can also find me on twitch.tv/The Bear Pen, where I am storyteller of Blood on the Bayou, which is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle set in New Orleans. And we actually have our season finale coming up tomorrow, actually, Sunday at 2 p.m. So tune into that if you guys want some lovely vampire action. That'll be great. And we also have a Mage Ascension show coming in September, which a couple of the people here will be involved in. Eliza will be a cast member. Ree will be a cast member. I will be a cast member as well, and it is actually a story told by the person who plays Killen on this channel, which is Zach. So Zach will be our storyteller there. So super looking forward to that. And the other project that we have is I'm emceeing a City of Mist game called Mekong Delta Blues, which Kira is a player in, and that is Mondays at 7 p.m. in episode 4, I think. It's just a little mini series for the summer. Episode 4, I believe, will be on in 2 days for you guys. So super looking forward to that. And you can find me on Twitter at the Adrian Bear. And I think I'm pretty much that everywhere. I think my Instagram is the same, if I'm remembering correctly. And that's me.
Fantastic. As for yours truly, I am Kira858. Of course, I have Lords of Faerun here. As mentioned, we also have Riverwood Academy, which comes on Tuesday. So if you're interested in a young adult Harry Potter type D&D campaign, definitely check out Riverwood Academy. It definitely has that nice high school feel. And it's just Erin she's just a fantastic DM. Her world and everything is just extravagant. And as someone may have mentioned, we have a few projects that will be coming down the line involving individuals you may recognize in the community. And again, I'm super excited for that. We're just nailing down a few things and we should be good to go. So with that said, in terms of Twitter, I'm now changing to the Kira858. So you can be able to follow me there. And we should be good to go. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and bring our intro video for episode 9 of Lords of Faerun.
Latreo, Avis, Jesse, Helena, Ice, Elliot, Aliza as DM, Lords of Faerun.
And we are now back. So with that said, Elisa, take it away.
All right. So in our last session, some interesting things happened. You all escorted your dwarven teenage friend Kay back to her village. And the result of that was she is now the god mayor of Rosha. Who knows what implications that will have in the future, but that's where we ended the last session. And now you all are faced with a few different choices. You are back in Vasa on the western side of this vast northern valley. You have the option to go north to get back onto the glacier, the Great Glacier, to meet Latreu's family members, meet back up with Shireen, who is back on the Great Glacier. You left her near Ymra's place. You have the option to also go further north and look for some treasure to trade with Ymra for the things that you had asked her for. And you also have a scroll in a goat tube found by Jesse, our Asimar. And it was damaged during the catastrophe on the Great Glacier in the dragon's lair. It was damaged by water, so you have been looking for a spellcaster to clean that up and see what you can get, if you can get any information from that scroll that was found in the dragon's lair. So, where would the party like to go to next?
So, I guess this is probably the next morning. Betrayal's like waking up, kind of turning to the side, probably sleeping next to the tree that he was trying to practice his acting skills next to. And then as he stands up, he's like, guess today should be the day. He's going to look around. Does he see anyone sleeping next? What will our sleeping arrangements be right now?
So you're still in Rosha, correct? You all spent the night in Rosha after this festival for the new god mayor, Kay. Some of you had found some companions in the village, if I remember correctly. Avis, you actually probably stayed with the dragons outside of the town, your companion dragons. And so, who would anyone be around Latreu when he wakes up?
I would. We spent the entire night like playing local games and stuff. So I figure we just crash together.
Do you have a hangover? I remember you were slightly intoxicated, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Do I have a hangover?
I mean, Yeah, do you rolling for it?
Yeah. I'm rolling. I rolled an 18 for Constitution.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty okay. Like, I have a headache, but I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, you had a lot to drink, but you also got a good amount of sleep, so your body is doing okay in processing all that drink you had.
All right. So Latreia will look over to Elliot and speak in Sylvan, because Sylvan is like the language that they're most comfortable in, because I think that's how they first met. He'll speak in Sylvan and say, Elliot, I think it's time to go home.
But that's awfully fast. Are you sure?
Well, if I don't do it now, I don't really know when I would. So this is probably the best time as any.
Is this something that you're doing alone, or are we coming with you?
If you would like.
Yeah, of course I would like. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I want to support you.
He kind of looks to the ground for a bit, and then he kind of like rubs his fingers through the grass, kind of like filling it between his fingers. And then when he looks up, he says, I'll be honest, I don't really know myself. I don't know what to expect, but I need to see them.
All right. Well, then let's tell the others and then we'll go.
He nods. And you recognize, like, there's like often different shades of him. Like, this is kind of like closer to where he talks to Shireen. And so that confident, like, bull charging type personality is kind of like pushed to the side, where a little bit more of a meekness still appears. And you can definitely notice there's like a bit of reservation and concern about what's going to happen when he comes forward. But he looks up. Well, hopefully everyone else is okay. We can go.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I see Latreia is like, struggling a little bit, so I'm gonna wake everybody else up. Who else was drinking with us last night?
Say that Jesse had been spending a bit of time dancing with a couple of folks in the village, and definitely had been drinking a bit. But I think nearer the end of the night, I would have gone out to spend a bit of time with Jackson, my dragon, and I probably would have spent a lot of time drunkenly singing to him in Celestial, and him probably like, Jesse is probably still hanging out there with Jackson.
Okay. So I stay away from that. And I'm not gonna rush you. But I will find whatever sort of waking up beverage this city enjoys. If there is a tea or a coffee type of thing, I will gather some and make some to wake up Avis and everybody at our camp. To wake everybody up. Latreia has something for us to do. And I know we had other plans, but it is important to him. So drink up.
Go to the dragons for Jesse and Avis, or was that to Christmas? Well, of course. There's always something to do. I was wondering when we'd be getting to this after all. Thank you for the tea, though. It's been a while.
Oh, well, yeah. It was a late night, so I figured we could use some motivation.
Cool.
The town has been waking up right alongside you, but you do notice that there are some people who are already up and seem like they've been awake for a while. In fact, there is a breakfast feast out near last night where there was the big festival and the throne where Kay was seated. The throne is still there. Kay is not seen, but you see some dwarves and orc villagers bustling around and setting up these breakfast items.
Oh,
Including
okay.
tea.
Latreia. There seems to be some sort of breakfast celebration. I assume it's in honor of the emperor we just instated. Do you want to stay for that, or should we really get a move on?
Let me make a wisdom saving throw. Because you know how food is for for Latreia. Give me 1 second. Wow. You must really want to go home. Okay.
What?
Latreia pauses. He hears his stomach growls, like, as always, like a great worm itself living inside a pack of 6 apps. But even as he hears the noises, he kind of looks up and says, I think I would go there now.
It might be because you might have made that decision, Latreia, because from where you're sitting, the food does not smell very good.
I will, on hearing the mighty rumbling coming from my friend's stomach, I will toss him an apple.
Oh, he grabs it. Thank you. And immediately just one huge bite. And half of that apple is gone.
We can eat and fly, brother. It's no problem. And, I was wondering when we might get to see the rest of your family. So this is going to be enjoyable.
I hope so. I hope so. And he kind of like...
Now, your cousins and stuff, they aren't going to like throw a lightning bolt and be like Shireen. That's not some kind of like colloquial greeting, is it?
Not
That's fascinating, actually.
that I'm aware of. Just in case.
That was more painful than anything else, but
Yes, it kind of reminds me of wrestling when you're friends, but a little bit more damaging of sorts. But if it does come to that, hopefully we could be able to get out of the way in time, just for polite purposes.
I hope so.
Mm.
Well, are we ready to leave now, or do you all wish to go and speak to your new, recently crowned deity? Are they ready?
Rather not, actually. I'm ready to leave. I think.
I trust in the god. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I trust in this god mayor. They taught me about being a plant, so I believe with them.
As you all are having this conversation, Clofin walks up to you. If you remember, Clofin was one of the two former leaders. There was a dwarf and an orc. This is the orc. Clofin walks up to you with a couple of bowls in his hands, and he says, "Oh, are you leaving already? Did you want to have some breakfast?" And he holds out the bowls to you. A very not good smell is coming from these bowls.
This will take both of them. Why, of course, thank you very much. And of course, we must depart. There are other stories that must be told, other people to meet, and apparently other deities to raise.
Oh, wow, you just go from town to town. Does this happen a lot when you're around?
No, not normally, but you never know what will become a new normal.
Right, yes. I'm sure everything will be fine with our new Godmaker. I personally am glad to not have that responsibility anymore.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe just keep on giving Kay a bit of guidance. They're a little bit younger than the rest, so they might be popularly crowned and all, but everyone needs guidance every now and then.
Yes. Well, I hope she's open to it.
A bit of a warning. Perhaps don't go around telling people exactly why Case the God Mayor. The dragons are very long-living creatures and can be very, what's the word?
Yes. Well, now that we know they're definitely real, I think that tradition is going to die, thankfully. Sending our young miners out to find dragons that actually do exist. We thought it was fake all this time, to be honest. But now we have a god mayor, so everything happens for a reason, right? Right?
That's 100% accurate.
Well, have a good travels, safe travels to you all. You're welcome to come back and visit anytime. I mean, I think I'm not the mayor anymore, so I guess I can't say things like that anymore.
I'm making instant see how salty this man is. This person.
You do these official appeals for all of that song.
Jason, whoever maybe because I got a 10.
Wait,
I got a 10 on that inside check.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe Jason's hungover. I don't know.
Did anyone else roll insight?
I'm just thinking about getting out of here.
Well, yeah, from that 10, you're kind of, you're just seeing it at face value. This person is kind of wrestling with not being the mayor anymore, but also kind of glad to not be, and just kind of going back and forth. You're not really sure what they're feeling maybe underneath.
Well, they're speaking a comment. So if it's a comment, he'll say, well, if you need help, future, let us know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And then he kind of steps back a few steps, turns around, and walks away to kind of head towards Snow Root.
All right. Okay. And are you off now? Leaving the village?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. As soon as we're out, I'm gonna hop on to Leonid and start flying.
All right, great. So you all head back to your dragons. Avis, you have those two bowls, and looking down into them, one of them is just filled with some type of meat stew, but it looks like the meat was not super fresh. Maybe when they made it, it doesn't smell great, and it smells like there's no seasoning on it. It's just meat in a pot. The other bowl has a dark green looking moss, which you, depending on, well, if you'd like to roll for nature to see if you recognize this, but as far as you can tell, it's a moss of some kind.
18 on nature.
Then you would recognize that this is lichen. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it is a specific type of, basically a mold that grows on trees that dwarves like to eat. So in your hands, you realize that Clofin handed you the two dishes of the town. One is a meat stew that the orcs make. It's a bit more of a civilized than the raw meat that orcs like to usually just eat. So this very bland meat stew. And then the lichen is the dwarves' traditional meal. So these are the two traditional meals of Rosha.
You can put that in the bag of holding.
Okay.
Soup. Sloshing around in the void.
Get all
maybe
over.
useful later. Maybe useful later. You never know.
No. Okay, so do you all get back to your dragons and take off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is lounging on the back of Yuki.
All right. You all take to the air and you're heading back. It sounds like all three of the potential things you were going to do were back on the Great Glacier. So that's where you're heading, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
And this trip takes a couple of hours to get, I think about 2.5 hours to get from the western edge of Vasa back up to the Great Glacier to the area of Ymra's cave. And so unless anyone wants to have a conversation during this flight, we can skip ahead to arriving at the Great Glacier.
As we fly, I'm going to kind of encourage Latreia to take the lead on the flight, on our like little flight pattern. And I'll stay close by behind him. And at some point during the journey, I'll just say, if you need a break at any point, we should have a code word if you need us to get out of there for a little bit.
He pauses, realizing there's much wisdom in that statement, but that contrast in his mother's belief of always installing strength. And so there's an internal conflict that you could literally see visibly on his face as he tries to chew on those words. You know what? Oh. And he says, thank you. I think I should be good. But thank you, though.
All right. Okay.
If you see something weird along the way or something that cause for concern, let me know, though, please.
Of course.
He nods. And then you could tell like his eyes kind of like stares off into the distance, and you could just see like his brain going 200 miles per hour. What's going inside? Who knows?
Storyteller, DM, you said the flight's about 2.5 hours?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Flight's just over 2 hours.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think that Jesse will stay back a little bit with try and keep pace with Avis and have a little conversation with him. Hey, now I don't mean to pry or nothing, Avis, but if you're having your own difficulties with things, you can talk to some of us, right? You know that.
Of course. We are our companions, are we not?
Well, yeah. I've noticed something like once or twice now, and I thought maybe it's something I ought to pay attention to. It's just I've noticed that sometimes when issues come to bigger gatherings or dealings with family, you like to take off by yourself for a little bit. Now, I don't know if that means you're struggling with things, but I tend to think of you as family. So you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but just know that I've noticed.
You are very sharp-eyed, my friend, but I can assure you I am absolutely fine. I just have a way of knowing how we're needed, and quite often there are, let's just say, as my father used to say, the wind goes where it goes without our permission, and oftentimes I continue to leave.
All right. Fair enough. And Jesse will just happily keep on flying south.
Okay. All right. So that trip continues, and you all start to see once again that Great Glacier approaching, getting larger in your view. This is a view now that you're used to. You've been here for, the past several days, exploring this area, having adventures. You recognize off to the western side of the glacier, that section that is now removed because of what happened when you went to the Hellfan Dragon Clan's lair. And as you approach the Great Glacier, it now gets larger and larger in your view. Your dragons and you are getting better at navigating, crossing that barrier over the edge where the wind starts to pick up very swiftly and quickly. And so you all pretty expertly now navigate, cresting over the edge of the Great Glacier. And here you are now on that great wide plain of ice. You navigate yourselves back to where you left Shireen and Eris, which is near Ymra's cave. And this was the spot that Shireen agreed to meet back up with you all when you were done with your dealings in Rosha. And sure enough, you crest over the Great Glacier to this spot, and you all land. And you find that Shireen has set up her hunting tent in the area. She didn't go back home. She just kind of stayed put, waiting for you all to return. She and Eris are sitting around a campfire, chatting, talking. There's a large, very large rabbit on a spitfire roasting, turning over the fire that Shireen is tending to.
When I see Shireen is still sitting in the same spot that we left, I say, well, okay. It's a good thing we came right straight back then.
Oh, yeah. When I said I was going to wait for you, I meant it. There's no use going back up north and then, Also, I didn't know if you were really ready to, meet mom and sisters. I wanted to give you the option, when you were ready for us to go up north to meet them. Are you ready?
The trail eyes dart from side to side, takes a deep breath. And I feel like from there, there's the amulet that he carries, you can start to see a green essence starting to appear. And when that green essence appears, you can see him calm just a little bit. And as he takes that deep breath, he says, I think I'm ready.
Well, all right. Oh, this is exciting. And Shireen bounces up and kind of does one of her storm giant yoga poses. So her 26-foot large frame just kind of bending and twisting. Oh, goodness. Oh, good stretch. Eris and I, oh my goodness. Eris has so many cool stories from centuries ago. It's amazing. It's like talking to your granddad who was frozen in ice for a long time, which I guess is exactly what you are, except not really my granddad. And Eris says, yes, I suppose so. I never had any children or grandchildren, so I guess you all are my grandchildren in a way.
Thank you. Could we hear the stories along the way? I would love to hear them.
Oh, sure. I mean, they're not all heroic and epic battles. I think Shireen liked the sillier ones most of all. And Shireen's like, oh, yes, I do. Yes. I mean, the snowshoes is very funny. You should tell them about the snowshoes. And he says, all right, yeah, I'll tell you about the snowshoes on our way. We should probably eat this rabbit first. Have you all eaten?
We skipped breakfast, actually.
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
I think at that notion, the great worm inside his stomach starts to make a daily roar, and then he looks over. He says, "Yes, if we could take some of that rabbit, I would definitely appreciate it."
All right. And so Shireen and Eris start to carve up this rabbit, pass it around. You all have your breakfast together, and they pack up the tent and their, camping grounds, and you start to head north. Okay.
We're traveling. Jesse will just say to Eris, if you're classifying us all as your grandchildren, that's quite a good compliment. Thank you. Which just means that you're going to have to come all the way down south and meet the rest of my kin.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you like the ocean.
The ocean. I mean, that I had never considered. I guess if I'm not needed as a warrior anymore, then maybe I could do some traveling. Maybe I could do some adventuring. I mean, are small folk comfortable seeing giants down south?
No.
Probably not.
Of course.
He looks at everyone, and he just
They just need a moment to get used to it. That's all.
I'm hearing so many different opinions on this. Not sure which one is correct, to be honest.
It's the first time. You just got to get used to it, and then it'll be fun.
Mm. Well, Shireen was telling me that she can make herself small, so if I can figure out how to do something like that, maybe I could go for a travel.
That would be much easier. Safe to say, I have not had the most pleasant experience around smaller individuals. But sometimes they can be won over. Sometimes.
Eris looks at you when you say this, and it looks as if something dawns on him. And he says, I imagine you have had to walk between two worlds your entire life. That must have been difficult for a young boy like you.
He stops, almost stops walking at that moment. I never heard of it that way. Yeah. It is hard. But.
He reaches over and pats you on the shoulder. Well, you are a unifier of worlds, we would call it.
Me?
You're one of those, you are one of those people who has elements of two very different worlds, and maybe someday you could bring them together.
I guess. I'm not usually the talking one. That's normally, and he'll point to Avis, he says, but usually if it comes with if a sword is needed, I usually.
I know, I'm sure you're very good with a sword, but I think you're underselling your way with words. I was a bit out of it, but I heard how you talked to those Hellfan dragons. You got us out of there alive with your words. It's all right. You don't have to accept everything I'm saying, but one day you'll realize your power is more than just with a sword. We should be going.
He nods, but it's definitely eternal thought monologue from that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. He keeps walking.
Okay. So everything's packed up and you all start to head north. And I forgot to mention that your slotty friend, your red slot friend, Frogman Spencer, is also here. He once again rode back with you all on Treebush, while Helena rode along on her winged boots. So your slotty friend Spencer is here, and he says, well, I can show you the way north, like I promised, like I told Yimra I would, because I always, I always obey my Yimra, my dear Yimra. And there are some very interesting places. But actually, we should do the family thing first, and then maybe after that we can go. I can show you some places that have been of interest to me, of curious interest.
Would love to, absolutely love to, Spencer. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, I'm ready. Okay. So you all begin your trek northward, and Shireen leads the way, being the most familiar with the Ravara clan's land in this century. She also, just as before, just as in last session, she points out certain landforms that she believes were in existence during Eris's day, and he either confirms them and says, oh yes, I remember that mountain, that hill, or he says, oh no, that is a new glacier that I haven't seen before. And they have this kind of, it's almost like you're hearing the history of the land while also getting the updates, the modern day updates along with Eris in this way. And after about another 40 minutes of traveling north, trekking through the ice and snow, you arrive at a beautiful little section of the glacier. There is, it's almost as if it's been carved out just by nature, just by wind, a semicircle and kind of an open cave. So there's a bit of an overhang. And then there's this inset into the glacier, like a shelf, a natural large shelf. For those of you who are normal humanoid size, about thereabouts, It towers over your heads at least 50 feet. The taller ones of you, so Latreyu, you being the shortest of the talls, this is starting to look more like where giants would live. And you see that in the middle of this semicircle that's been carved into the rocks, there's a sliver that is about the size of a frost giant, a storm giant could enter through. And Shireen walks straight towards that entrance and says, "Here we go."
And so Latreya steps forward for a second. And then you notice that when he looks at some of the surroundings, he starts to get like maybe like flashbacks of sorts. There's like an image of like blood being squirted across the wall. And you can see his arm starts to dart back and forth, and beads of sweat starts to drip down his face. His body and arms like kind of like clenches up. His fist tightens so tight that blood starts to drip out of his hands. And then as he looks at the ground for one of the first times ever, he actually takes a step back. And he looks.
Okay.
Elliot just silently, wordlessly, like puts a hand on like the back of Latreya's shoulder, just like grounding.
I'm gonna see if Shireen knows. Yeah, Shireen, she hears the footsteps behind her, but she seems to notice. She has an inclination. And she turns, and right at the entrance, she sees you, Latreyu, having backed up by a step. And she says, "Uppies?" She comes over, kneels down, and offers her shoulder to you to climb up on.
And this is a huge notice, because normally when he asks for an uppies, he normally climbs up her body, like up the side of her leg, up out her back. But this time he actually gets into her hands and is like scooped up, like, and goes down.
Yeah. She scoops you up, puts you on your shoulder, and she says, "It's okay. It's safe. It's safe."
Okay. And he looks around at the ground. You promise? You promise?
I promise. Yeah.
Okay. And then he grabs tightly onto, I guess the shoulder girder that she has around her side as like an extra layer of support as he looks around, and takes a deep breath and waits for her to walk.
Okay. She crosses the threshold into this ice cavern, and the rest of you follow shortly behind her. The first thing you notice, Latreyu, is how familiar this space is. You walk in and you see this home that has been created by your mother. The memories you have of her as a small boy are very sparse, but you remember this room. You see the crystal decorations that she has put up all around the walls, hangings, things that were woven by her hand, by her grandmother's, by her great-grandmother that decorate the walls. You see the thrones in the corner to the storm giant gods and deities that she follows. You see the hearth, you see the stove, you see her rocking chair and all the other furniture. And you remember being very small on the floor around the foots and legs of these furniture pieces and your relatives. And in the corner, perhaps having some afternoon tea, is Neriphilia. Can you describe what they see?
Neriphilia would have dark red hair that's braided as a long braid that comes down, and perhaps there is frost along the braid that peppers that red hair. And she's got very pale skin and green eyes, And I think she's almost just sort of in like this meditative state of just sipping her tea, and maybe her eyes are closed at the moment, and opens them to see Shireen first. I think takes a moment to clock anything other. And Shireen, what? Who's?
Do you recognize him? Shireen's eyes start to fill up in tears.
Oh, no! Is that?
Mm-hmm. It's him.
Latreia?
I'm home. I'm home.
How? Oh my goodness! Come here. And Neriphilia like comes over and sort of, gently puts a hand over, not wanting to assume anything, and still just very taken by surprise, and just puts a hand over to where Latreia is on Shireen's shoulder.
You gotta look. Wait.
I was just going to say, as you come over Neriphilia, the rest of the group and Latreia, you see how tall Neriphilia is.
Oh, yes. 38
Shireen.
feet. Sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah. You were sitting before, so they didn't know how tall you were. When you stand up, you rise to 38 feet. You tower even over Shireen at 26 feet. And so you stretch out your hand down to Shireen's shoulder where your son, your long lost son, is sitting here.
Mm-hmm. He looks at Shireen for a second, and then looks at Neriphilia, his mother, and says, "Okay." And he takes a step into her hand and looks up and says, "You're warm. You're warm like before."
And she holds onto him and brings him to her chest, and as she does so, she'll cast Alter Self to make herself be the exact same size as Latreia, perhaps a little larger, to be able to embrace him and see eye to eye.
Mm.
You've no idea how much I've missed you.
I miss you too. What happened? What happened? Is everyone here? Is everyone? He kind of like looks up at you. And he like puts his hands next to your cheek to kind of push back a tear away. Really? What is? I don't. Really?
Everyone's okay. There's nothing to worry. It's just you that we've missed all this time.
What? And then he gives like a really tight hug in response, and then he kind of like lays his hand on her, and it says, I'm glad I'm back, but I was scared. I was scared. What? Why did that happen?
Oh. I wish I could give you a good reason to why these things happen. But there often never is. Take your time, Latreia. Poor thing, you're shaking. And Neriphilia grabs, but they also have smaller size teacups at the ready, and pours some tea and says, "Oh, and I'm so sorry I didn't even see your friends here with you." And Neriphilia has not let go of Latreia with the other arms, always just holding and touching in some way, either hand on the back, just cannot seem to let go of her son in this moment. And Please, come in. Make yourselves at home. And she starts pouring some tea with her right hand and ushering it over to everyone and gives one to Latreia.
Mother, and then you kind of see when he's about to talk, he kind of hears something off in the distance as he hears like rage of battle and like yelp pains. And you just see his kind of like turn to the side as he's expecting fighting to be surrounding him. He's like, what? Like they're not here, right?
No, it's safe here now. It's at peace. It's okay, Latreia. I promise you.
I'm scared.
That's okay. I'll never let anything happen to you as long as you're at home. I promise.
He nods. And then from there, he kind of like holds. You can also feel like the blood of his hands, like probably when you were grabbing him from when he was tightening his fists. But he definitely grabs onto you extra tight. And he looks up and says, Okay.
I'm just so happy to see you. Oh, your father. And she turns and she's like, and shouts sort of back to Gibran.
You hear a rustling. You hear a rustling in the other room. And moments later, out of another doorway from deeper in the cavern comes an elf, a wood elf. And he enters. He actually is holding a basket full of greens. He enters and he stops at the doorway, just stares at you, Latreia. And he says, Son? He sets down the basket and just swiftly crosses over to you. Puts his hands up on your shoulder. He's about 6 feet tall. So he's still looking up at the three of you, even though, and Shireen has also shrunken down now to about 8 feet. But he looks up at the three of you and puts his hands on Latreia's shoulders tentatively and looks up into your face. You're still there. That face. It's the same.
It is?
Well, you've got some age on you now.
And what strength. Look at these muscles. Oh my goodness.
That was a long story. Can I hug you? And then kind of steps forward and gives him a huge hug. And then from there, you can definitely see like the blood smears pretty much all across his dad's back as he gives him a tight hug. And then he looks down and he says, It was hard.
How did you survive all these years on your own?
He shakes his head as he takes the steps back. And then he grabs the amulet that's around his chest. It says, She raised me. She found me in the forest and rescued me from the ogre. And
that ogre. I remember it like it was yesterday. Don't you, Neriphilia?
Yes, still haunts me.
Yes. And you see him pause as it freezes for a second as he kind of like recalls being dragged into the forest. And as he was crying and reaching out to his mother and reaching out to his family and asking for help, he remembers how the ogre literally just like throws him against the tree to get him to stop crying. And then even though his back was nearly like broken from the side, he kind of looks up, he couldn't stop crying. And then when the ogre reaches over and kind of like wraps his hands around his neck to get him to stop, and things just starts to go dark, he recalls that red, almost beady eyes of the ogre and says, I never forgot. I never forgot.
You know, we're a peaceful people, Latreia, but we did justice to him. Once we found him, once we saw we couldn't get the truth out of him, he paid for what he did. He will never hurt you again, my son. Never.
What about the others?
You must mean the Dorgnors.
He nods.
Gibran looks over at Neriphilia.
Well, you know, there was great loss for us, but the same was true for them. And I didn't want to lose any other piece of our family. And so an accord was struck, a deal was made, a treaty, whatever you want to call it. But what's important is that there's peace now on both sides, and there is no bloodshed between us. There's been enough of that.
He kind of steps back from that and looks up at his mother and says, Mother, I have no peace. Night after night, I see it over and over again. And even the peaceful memories I get of you reading me bedtime stories and you telling me, showing me rune magic is constantly overwritten by that night. I have no peace, Mother. I have no.
I don't know how to make these memories any softer for you. They've haunted us too, and there's not a day where I haven't thought of you, Latreia, and how we lost you. But I have to believe that if you've experienced this and you know how it has affected you, surely you would not want to inflict such pain, this same pain, upon others.
He pauses and he stops because he thinks about what he just did to the Dragon Clan not too long ago, to share that same retribution that they felt when their clan was wiped away. And he looks up, he says, actually, I do. I just did it. We not too long ago gave retribution to the Hellfland clan up north, the dragons up north, for what they did to our friends outside. And it felt good. It felt good, Mother. And so I know this may sound difficult to hear, but I don't think I can find peace unless I get retribution for what they've done.
When do you think will be enough? What will ever make what happened feel like it has been paid?
When
I searched for many years myself for something that might feel like the scales have been balanced, and it never came. There was no price equal enough to the hurt that had happened. And sometimes that is something that we have to carry with us, as horrible as it might be.
It never came?
It's always been there. I mean, perhaps until this moment, I never thought I'd get to see your face again, Latreia. And it's always been a part of me. That doesn't mean that there is not joy, that there are not moments of peace and happiness still, but you have to find those moments, and you find them in other parts of your life, but it does not mean that the pain was not still there.
You not.
But you've only just arrived. There is time. Can we offer you all at least? Are you going to stay for?
I just want to say, so are there other people besides Latreia's parents and sister in this room, like other storm giants up in here?
No.
Okay. So Elliot doesn't feel like it's cool to be listening in on this whole conversation that just taken place, because it feels very much like being in someone's like bedroom while they're having a very intense conversation. So I actually take Avis and Jesse and Helena aside and have been teaching them like a dice game that I was taught by the other city members the night before. So that's what I've been doing up until this point.
Okay.
At some point during the very beginning of their conversations, Avis disappeared.
Oh, okay. So then just Jesse and Helena.
Did you bring your dragons in with you to the cavern, by the way?
I am assuming so.
Yeah, so you would definitely see at least 7 or 8 young white dragons
Outside.
Just chilling outside. Just chilling.
Outside.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you will look up and say, yes, I would have stayed here as long as I can. I have to introduce the others. They've been with me when I've been growing up. Especially, he'll point to Elliot. He says, Elliot's knew me ever since I was, well, shortly after I was taken away. And then they have been along the way.
Hello. Thank you for taking care of my son when I could not. It's
Well, you know, I didn't so much raise him or anything. He's more like a brother to me.
still, that's important. A family. It's good to know that you felt family still. And your name's you're Elliot, is that?
Elliot, yeah.
It's a pleasure, and Neriphilia goes to each one of you and sort of, puts a hand out and clasps them warmly with each person.
Mm-hmm. Elliot thinks too hard about how tight to shake her hand. Like, should he really grip it to show that he's tough, or should he I don't know, but he thinks too much about it.
Despite Nerifilia's giant countenance, which has just become smaller, but still is like,
Yeah.
It's a very gentle.
Still bigger than me, yeah.
It's still a very gentle touch, and she's very gentle with everyone. Anytime she handles anything.
Yes, Diaz, man. It is an honor to meet you.
Truly, you've all made my my day, my month, my year.
Well, I can safely say that I think most of us wouldn't be here in some manner or capacity if it wasn't for your boy.
Oh.
He's part of my family.
Good. And you, she turns to Avis.
Wait.
Oh, nope. Avis is not there.
Avis
That's right.
disappeared. Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
Turns to no one.
Yep.
Actually, you see this red frog person standing nearby, about the same height as your husband. And this red frog person does a very deep, very elaborate bow. Hello, I'm Spencer. It is wonderful to make your large, beautiful acquaintance.
Oh my.
He bows very deeply.
It's lovely to meet you as well. Please, everyone, make yourselves at home. And, if you've been family to Latreia, you are family to us as well now. So, yes, please come in. And sort of like looks to Gibran with that sort of like, partner look of like, come on, help.
Gibran comes over and helps. And as you all start to kind of settle in and see this environment even more, you do indeed see that there are basically two sets of everything. There's a large table, large hearth, one large chair that Neriphilia was sitting at when you entered. And on the other side of that large table she was sitting at, you see a staircase that just goes up and winds back and forth and then goes up to the second setting at the table. But down where you are, now that they have shrunken themselves, all of the giants in the room, you see that she absolutely does have a place setting that is you all's size, and the cups and everything else.
Yeah.
And Gibran helps her to bring things over to the table.
Yeah. Usher everyone to the table and then set things down and sort of bring out some like snacks, whatever we have, and sits down and
The trio looks around and says, "Wait, where's Avis?"
I didn't see where he left. Some time as you were talking, I noticed that he was gone.
Oh, he'll look.
Spencer says, "I thought he left. He left a little while ago, very quietly."
Oh, there's one more, Avis. He's really good when it comes to words. Really good.
Latreia,
He was telling me about his music. It sounds very wonderful. I can go look for him. Do you want me to look for him? See where he went?
Actually, Latreia, you please continue your reunion. I will step outside and see if the dragons maybe know where he went.
Okay.
Spencer, you're welcome to join me.
Well, be careful out there. If you run into anything, just let me know.
I will say the code word.
We didn't create one.
I will be fine.
Okay.
and Elliot will walk back out the entrance of this place.
He kind of smiles. He looks over to his mother and says, "He's been with me since the beginning. I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for him."
Neriphilia sort of gestures towards and sort of lifts the amulet slightly and says, "And
Oh, this was given to me by my adopted mother. She was the one who rescued me when the ogre took and she raised me to be a protector of the forest. And she even helped me to be more like you for a period of time.
And what was she like? What's her name? Was she kind to you?
She was firm yet strong. Her name is Valeria, and she imparted the ideas of nature and the importance of nature into me, and how I had to protect the animals around. It was through her that I was able to survive. When I was in the forest, there were, and then he kind of pauses for a second as he recalls like adventurers coming by and trying to kill him when he was just only 10 or 11 years old because they assumed that he was a giant and needed to be slain. And he would stop for a second, pause and say, defend myself from others.
She sounds incredible. I hope that someday I can thank her properly. For raising my son into what appears to be a strong, capable, and courageous young man. Tell me, what else have you all been doing? How did you make your way up here? I mean, I'd like to hear everything. What are you all? Are you an adventurer? Now look at this. What a good group you've got.
Well, that was, it kind of nods to Jesse and points towards where Ellie is. That's more their doing. I haven't had too many positive experiences with smaller individuals. And so I was fine being in the forest until I found them. And they showed me a new world out there. And sometimes it was hard. Often it was hard. People give stares, run away in fear. Others see me as a trophy to be slayed. But there was good times. There are good times. And so I, in many occasions, got to change people's mind. And that's thanks to them.
Get him on the ship the first time.
Oh, sorry, we couldn't hear the first part.
What was that?
I'll say that again. My mic has been doing this weird thing where if I'm quiet for too long, it suddenly decides that auto mutes me for a tiny second. I'm going to have to start talking. I don't know why. Anyway, I can tell you, man, that it was a heck of a thing for me to get him on a boat for the first time. But we did.
Oh,
I don't like water. I don't like water.
Oh, well, you are a fine swimmer. I don't understand.
That's because I have no choice. But I definitely prefer this. He'll point to the mountains and the forest a bit.
Yeah.
I miss you.
he'd like to have your... Oh. I can understand wanting to have your feet on solid ground. And,
It took me a little bit to get used to it up here, though, to be honest. But I kind of figured that glacier water is water. It kind of moves the same if you feel for it. It's slow, but it kind of moves the same.
It's very observant of you. Yes. Everything around us is always moving, isn't it? And I'm just so glad to have you back in the home. I keep pinching myself, wondering if it's real, and I have so many questions, but I think I could go on forever. I do want to tell you though that you spoke of what I'm sure is still anger and pain within what's happened, and you know yourself best, and no one can tell you how to deal with those emotions and how to get past those experiences and memories. But you are only giving them more control over your life and over your experiences, the more it consumes your choices. Have your choices. Just try and make sure that they're your own, and they are for the benefit of yourself and those you call family at any given time around you. Sometimes something may feel good in the moment, but did it put more suffering into the world? And did it truly fix anything in the end? We must always think about what we're putting into and what's being put out in this world. I'm glad that she that raised you was able to teach you how to protect and care for the world that we're on. And that extends to the creatures that are on it as well, however difficult that can be to grasp at times. I love you, son.
I love you too. And he hugs. And when he hugs you, he says, but it's hard to sleep at night. I can't get it to stop.
I know. I don't know. I don't have the solution for that. I'm not as wise as the gods above us, but I can only hope that there will be so much good, so much joy that fills your heart and your mind, that with time it will soften and make way. But you still have so much life ahead for that to happen still. And she gives you a really warm embrace and brings you in tight. Well, I think a meal's in order.
And that's
Once
what
you
it
can
is.
get your friends gathered, I'll start cooking. And sort of like busybody, sort of like gathers herself and is like, it's almost like for herself. She's like, I need a moment, and goes over to busy herself and is like, really kind of trying to center herself as she starts cooking away.
Yeah, and Gibran is right behind you, bringing over some food and supplies for you and helping out with the cooking. With that, we will take our break here, and when we return, we will see where Avis has slinked off to mysteriously. So, yes,
Wow.
here is our break.
Wow. Okay. That was incredible. So, again, thank you all so much for coming by for the first half. We definitely appreciate it. If you like what you see here and would like to talk about our campaign, talk about the characters, talk about the event, you can join our Discord, which will be listed in chat below. We have a section for spoilers as well for non-spoilers, fan art, so forth and so on. And we look forward to have you joining us. We talk about, again, the passion and the creativity that comes in with this campaign. And we'll be back between 10 to 15 minutes for the second half of Lords of Faerun. Farewell from now. All right, and we are back for the second half of Lords of Faerun. Elisa, take it away.
Avis, where did you exit this cavern?
He used Misty Step and would have made his way back towards the dragons.
Okay, so you went back through that same entrance, the large storm giant sized entrance that you came in, and you find your party of companion white dragons playing in the snow and the ice. You see just through body language that they look more physically comfortable in this environment than you've ever really seen them. You've seen them in the warmer parts in the south, mostly on the island. You've seen them traveling through Vasa, and here they are on the Great Glacier, just having a good time together, playing, scooping up ice and snow with their mouths and thrusting it at each other's and using their wings to flap, just like make mini snowstorms at each other. So this is what you see once you exit Neriphilia.
So aren't you all having a wonderful time out here? I'm not disturbing your play.
Yuki just swoops up her wing and just like splooshes some snow right at you.
He doesn't move. Well, that is not quite as fun for me as it is for you, though I do appreciate the gesture.
Oh, sorry.
It is fine. It is fine. Are you all not disturbing anyone? It looks like you all are having a good time. Is there a game being played here, or are you all just throwing snow at each other?
Yeah, the game is pretty much that. Yuki also like now crouches and crawls, kind of army crawls over to you, and with the tip of her wing just like brushes snow off of your hair and your shoulders.
Thank you. That was very, very nice of you.
Why are you, what's going on in there? How'd it go?
Oh, it's doing pretty well. The chair is a bit busy at the moment, and I felt it was fair to give him a bit of privacy. And I was wondering if you all were getting yourselves into any trouble out here, so there I am.
Jackson, who actually has not been playing in the snow, being the stately dragon that he is, has been laying on his stomach and has pulled out his little book again, and with his glasses has been reading. But you also notice that Jackson also seems really at home and comfortable with this ice all around. Jackson looks up and says, I think we're keeping out of trouble for the most part. You know, the kids have to play. And Yuki looks over and says, Jackson, you're a kid too. You're like the same age as us. And Jackson says, but I don't act it. Do you see the difference in how we act? Do you see? And the other dragons all just swipe a bunch of snow at Jackson. He wipes the snow off his glasses.
I can assure you, Jackson, even the most stately of gentlemen must make time for fun. After all work but no play makes for a very dull person.
I suppose that may be the case. I'll take your word for it.
I hear that my word is rather wise.
And the rest of the dragons return to their game, but Jackson returns to his book, and Yuki just stays with you and says, so? What's up?
Nothing exactly, though I am curious. It looks like the Jay will have to make a decision soon. I'm quite fascinated to see which one he picks.
What's the decision?
Well, his story isn't mine to tell exactly, but let's say he is at a crossroads that I have seen many people reach in my time, and well, the decision he makes could influence who he is from this point forward.
I guess going home kind of makes you have to make some big decisions, huh? Kind of like gives you a look that you recognize very well now.
Yes, of course. Speaking of which, are you sure that you don't want to stay with your brethren here? You all look like you enjoy the snow much more than the heat of the island.
Well, I'm still deciding, but that's not what I'm doing this about. And I think you know it.
I know a great many things, but knowing things can also make you blind to the obvious things. So perhaps I do, perhaps I don't.
Well, Avis, you don't talk about your family much. And I've noticed, and I think some other people have noticed, that whenever you see sweet family moments happening, you kind of just exit left. So, do you miss your family? I know you told me a while ago that your mom, you had been looking for her.
Yes, I suppose I do. But that is not entirely important, I suppose. I made my decision, and I suppose the consequences of it are not mine to bear.
Well, I don't accept that. As your best friend, I don't accept that.
Are you my best friend now? Was there an election or a competition for that spot?
Are you saying I'm not your best friend?
I am saying nothing. I'm simply inquiring. I wasn't aware that there was a competition for my affection.
Okay, no one said competition. But fine, okay. Maybe I'm not your best friend. But I know you very well.
Indeed you do. Perhaps better than most.
And I also know that this group of people really cares about you. And maybe if you told them, about your family and you needing to find them and your mother and what happened, maybe they could help you look her up and track her down, maybe.
Yes, you're all right. I'm sure they would. But I'm not sure that would be wise.
Well, there's no reason to suffer consequences for things that you think you did back then. It was a long time ago, and you're a different person. And why continue to suffer?
You've become very wise in our time together. Indeed,
Thanks.
very impressive.
By the way, not to make this about myself, not to completely change the subject, but when we saw that ancient white dragon, I was like, that could be me one day.
Of course.
It was
You want to be like them.
I mean, I want to grow old. I want to be an ancient one. I want to be able to smite people with my ice breath and not just turn them into half popsicles.
So it is power that you want, is that correct? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
There are many pathways to that. I could teach you many different things. I know of two stories of dragons that could cast spells as good as anyone else. Would you like to learn?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's begin today, actually. I believe the trial will be a bit longer. And, let's begin to see if you can understand the weave of magic.
Okay, what's the first lesson?
And he will hold out his hand and cast dancing light, and 4 spheres of blue and purple light will just kind of rotate slowly in his hand. The first step is to understand that the world around you is very finite. And once you begin to understand exactly what makes it up, you can begin to manipulate it. And then you can create simple tricks, or you can do much more impressive things. And then he will cast Misty Step and appear on her back.
Can I try?
Of course, focus.
Let's see how our dragon does.
You get a dragon that does Misty Step. Oh my goodness.
Okay. So let me just, let's see, how do we do this? I'll just do intelligence. Oh, that's -2. She's going to have to work on this probably. She gets a 9 trying to cast Misty Step. So nothing happens.
Very good.
It's not working.
Well, a very good first try. Perhaps may I offer you a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
There are people who could do magic in a very similar way to Jackson, using a sheer intellectual disposition. That is not how I do it. Through a sheer force of will, you can alter the world around you. So perhaps try focusing very hard on what you want and try to impose it on the world around you.
Okay. So she makes this shift in her mind. Instead of trying to use her intellect, more using her charisma, let's say. Which is a +1. Oh, even worse. She got a 5 on that. I really want to teleport over there. But I feel like I can keep working on this.
Of course, it will take time. Everything does.
Okay. And so you continue to tutor your companion dragon Yuki out in this courtyard. And we will transition back into Neriphilia and Gibran's home inside the ice cavern. Let's say that we're further along into a meal. You all have sat down at the smaller table that Neriphilia and Gibran have set up. They have given you this beautiful feast, which Gibran has contributed lots of greens that he grows as a druid in this icy place. And over dinner, Gibran has also told you, how they live and their lifestyle here. Gibran is a bit of a greens seller for the storm giants. Some of them have figured out how to grow greens on the Great Glacier, but being a druid, Gibran is able to grow things that other people are not able to. So he kind of goes around that, he had his basket of greens and he had just harvested some to deliver to other storm giants. So he's telling you this. Neriphilia has also been telling you about what she does, her lifestyle, her other children.
Yes. And so she will have described, that and of course, they're not far, I do see them every now and then, but they're so busy, Persina and Adaris, and I'm sure they would love, I know they would love to see you too, Latreia, but they're not at home anymore. They've grown and become independent, I suppose.
I would like to see them too, but Shireen said that's how storm giants are. Like we grow up to a certain point and then we leave. But that hurts. When I'm not around Elliot and the others. It feels weird.
I can understand that, but we always know. And I suppose, even with you, it's been proven we always know it's never forever. That we'll always meet again. And that gives us comfort. And we hope that they're fulfilling their lives to the best of their ability and are not bound by, you know, your mother or father's expectations, and they get to live freely. But that doesn't mean we don't love them and love seeing them when the opportunities arrive.
How often do everyone meet together?
Well, special occasions mostly. Maybe once or twice. Or, a few times a year, perhaps. It depends, really. We don't track it quite the same way.
Well, I would like to call back a lot more often if you wouldn't mind having.
I wouldn't mind at all. There is much lost time to make up for it. You're welcome back anytime you would like, Betraya. Always, always.
Not. So, do you still keep your bedtime stories?
It's been a while since anyone's asked me that, for sure. But of course,
Can I hear
mother-
what tonight?
certainly, I think that would be possible.
Shireen playfully rolls her eyes and says, "So you went from uppies to bedtime stories, huh?"
When else I'm going to get them? I mean, it's not like I could get a bedtime story from a deer, you know. So I'm like, this is the best time. It's the best time. So thank you. And then he kind of like looks at Shireen and playfully sticks out his tongue. And then he kind of like looks back at the food.
Shireen returns that.
During the whole conversation that Neriphilia was having about like people coming and going, JC was completely understanding and nodding, because that's just how his people are. We come and go.
Oh wait, just to clarify, is Elliot still here, or did Elliot head out to go see?
Elliot went out to go and get Avis.
Gotcha.
That's right. Okay, let's pick back up there. Well, this is also later.
Yeah,
so
it would have happened. That whole interaction with Avis and the dragons should have happened, and then by that time, I probably would have made my way out.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna do a little insert. So we're gonna pause on this end of dinner conversation, rewind to Avis and the dragons outside. Right after that interaction where the tutoring begins, Elliot, you step outside into the courtyard and you see Avis basically tutoring Yuki in doing spells. You see Jackson in the corner reading his book, and you see the other dragons not too far off playing with the snow and the ice.
Oh, Avis, buddy, there's dinner. We missed you.
I suppose I have been gone for a very long time. Continue your practice here, Kia. We will pick it up later. Well, shall we go?
Yeah, just you could let us know if you're gonna disappear in the middle of the ice glacier. I'm teasing you. Just we were worried.
Yes, I do apologize. It was rather rude of me. I must also apologize to the host, of course. That was a very bad impression for me. It was quite rude, but I felt they should probably have a bit of privacy.
Oh, totally. That was extremely intimate conversation. Yes, absolutely. I understand. I did the same. But glad you're okay. Shall we?
Of course, lead the way.
I'll head back in.
Okay.
Ready for dinner.
All right. So the two of you join the dinner and you hear all the conversations that are happening over dinner that whole time. We're going to cut back to the end of the dinner conversation. And Latreyu and Jesse, you had been just talking about, Latreyu, you were talking about the bedtime stories. And Spencer actually says, well, I don't want to ruin your bedtime story plans, but before that, we actually, I think it would be best if we go by cover of night to the place that I want us to take you to. Because there might be some activity there, but there might be some things that we could find for my wonderful master, Yimra.
Oh, you're all looking to perhaps learn something or gain something from Yimra? Your master, you say?
Yes.
Ah.
Yimra, yes, holds the gem to my head. Literally, she holds the gem to my head.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is my master.
What is it that you all are seeking then? There's something to offer Yimra, I assume.
Yeah, we're
Yes, actually.
trying to find potentially some information about places that our Dragon King could stay further north, but we were hoping to get some information or some things that might assist us, and Yimra is one that lacks a good trade, so
Indeed.
there might be things in this location that's Spencer, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to keep on trying to pronounce that correctly, but do not feel afraid to correct me every time I do it wrong.
You did pretty good. That was pretty good.
Thank you. I am trying. Anyway, if there are things there that we can maybe find, they'll be helpful. But there was one other thing before we do take off. I did want to ask you, man. Yimra had said that maybe we might be able to ask you for assistance. I found this here scroll that's been a bit damaged, and it might hold the key to some plans that the Hellfang clan had. Maybe, I'm not sure, but there were folks that were hunting our Dragon King, and I don't know what's on the scroll, but it might be important. Heck, it might even be a fancy shopping list. I don't know, but I don't think dragons like to keep things in their hoards that don't have meaning to them. So, do you know anything that could fix that up?
Let me take a look. Then, it's scroll, correct?
Yeah, it's like a goat hide sort of cube case, and then inside is a scroll, and you can tell that it's been kind of water damaged.
Okay. Neriphilia will take a look. Is it anything that she would recognize?
It's not something she would recognize per se. But knowing her spellcasting skills, it looks like something she could probably at least restore from the recent water damage that it took.
Oh, yes, it's been quite damaged, I see. Well, I don't think it's not salvageable. If you don't mind parting with it for a little bit, perhaps I can restore it for you all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know it might not be cool to have your mother along, but if you don't mind some extra help. I have only just gotten to see you again, and if you're going to be venturing out, where exactly are you going to be looking for items to trade? Is that...
And items to trade and possibly a spot for our fellow dragons. Well, there's more in a different location back at Jesse's home. We're trying to find them a home that they could stay in where they're more comfortable and could be free. So that would, we think up north would probably work best. But yes, I'm not sure how others normally feel in regards to their mothers being around, but I would love to have you around anytime.
It's been a while, but I would be honored to accompany you at least this time.
I would like that.
And she excitedly smiles at Gibran
and he smiles right back.
So
right. Well, I will grab my supplies then. And she's she's in very comfy clothes. I was staying at home all day today, clothes, and sipping tea and having a very cozy life. And she's like, I'll go get ready and yes. And she scurries off.
He smiles, thinking to himself, this is Stella got her groove back.
Elliot is quietly concerned. Latrea's mom is the most important thing in the entire world to him, and she is now coming on an adventure with us. We recently almost died. I'm like, okay, how do I protect this woman at all costs? You may see Elliot sweating.
What would you say the temperature would be in this place, Elisa?
Inside, it's slightly warmer than outside, just because of the insulation of all the ice around you, the ice walls, the thick ice walls. There's also a hearth, so I would say it's quite comfortable in here. Maybe 55 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what Celsius is. Sorry.
So Jesse is playing with his fancy new ring, and he's saying, "I'm gonna test this out, if that's okay with y'all. I'm not gonna go too crazy, but he takes also the wolfskin cloak or whatever, and just takes the warm fuzzy shirt that he wore off, and then puts the cloak on just to test and see if the Ring of Warmth is doing its thing here."
Okay.
How's he feeling? It's supposed to take up to temperatures of -50 Fahrenheit, so I should be okay.
You take off this Ring of Warmth. Did you have other equipment that you were still wearing, or had you gone shirtless again now that you have the ring?
He's now testing out the capabilities.
Oh, you haven't been... Got it. Oh, yeah.
He was still in all the fancy furs and stuff that they had bought for traveling. So now he's just trying one step at a time without the extra layers of fur shirts.
Got it. Just in your island boy bohemian.
just trying the top off to see is he going to insta freeze or is he going to be okay?
Yeah, you take off those extra layers and you feel the chill in the air, but then you put on that Ring of Warmth and you feel fine. You feel great, actually.
Thank the gods.
I was ready for some Mr. Freeze puns.
And actually, I will insert to Neriphilia, as you go and get yourself ready to go on this adventure with them, you look at that scroll again, and the water damage looks quite bad, but you could try to just cast Prestidigitate to see if it cleans it up.
Yeah. as I'm sort of like, I put it aside and was getting ready, getting all my sort of like, trying to fit into things that I maybe haven't been in a while. And
Your
then,
outside clothes.
yeah. I look at it and I'm like, oh, yes, of course. And I press digitate over it to see if that will be enough.
Okay. Would you like to read it to see, or yes, okay. You take a look at the scroll, and yeah, you're able to remove like all of the recent water damage that happened. This is an old scroll though, so you can see the top of it was already smudged and damaged, just even maybe from someone's fingers, like smudging the ink right after it was laid down. Mm-hmm. But you can see most of what this says, and it is a letter. And it says the following. I have now spent several moons observing the movements of the storm giants and the white dragons. It seems that their own petty squabble has pointed their attentions away from us small folk, in parentheses. But if their battle comes to an end, that could mean doom for us. With your blessings, my liege, I will continue to ingratiate myself with these dragons and make sure that should their storm giant troubles end, they will have their own internal strife to tend to, rather than turning their icy breath towards us. Signed, Terrence X, and you see a symbol next to the signature.
This is horrid. And she is like sort of like like waddling out. She's got like one sort of like she's got like one pauldron thing on, one, and she's like, This is, hey, and sort of speechlessly like brings it over to you all and to Latreia to, I fixed it here, and hands it.
He grabs it and takes a look. Wait, what language is this written in? Is it in common? Oh no!
Yeah.
So he looks at it. He's like, Elliot, I can't read this.
Sorry.
Common isn't my strong suit.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. And I read it out loud.
Okay. So you all hear that message. Do you want me to read it again?
Oh no, I heard.
No, that's okay.
You got it. You're like, we got it.
So we Latreia like eyebrows raises like the people's eyebrow, and then he looks to the side. He says, "Oh, well, that explains a lot. That's a problem."
I recognize the symbol.
Yeah, you walk over to Latreia holding the scroll. You look down and go ahead and roll Arcana.
Good at that one. 17.
Okay. You do recognize the symbol, and you recognize it as a symbol of a group called the Black Network, or the Zentarum. You know them to be a network of mostly human spies who do not trust giants and don't want giants around.
That's fun. How interesting. It appears some old rivals of mine are making their attentions known. This is a group that don't exactly like giant kind, I'm afraid. But
who does?
I happen to enjoy your kind. They are very pleasant. But these people are not very pleasant, I'm afraid.
Who would do this?
They are. I'm going to butcher the name, so I'm going to say that he says the name properly, and I'll hear the name properly, but I'm going to say it wrong.
Zentaro.
Zentaro.
They are very a group of humans that are quite very unpleasant.
Would Neriphilia know of any past experience that the giants even the storm giants have had with or anyone has had with that group in particular in the past? Like, is there anything that she might remember? Or
You would know that many years ago, like when your children were very tiny, your older children, the daughters, before Latreille was around even, you would know that, yes, there were some issues with some like human spies coming up from the Vasa Valley and other parts onto the glacier. And there was a time when you had to kind of like find these spies and drive them out. And you haven't had a problem with it for over a decade, though.
okay, it's hard to believe that this would still be. Was this recent? Sorry, I have a dog barking.
I was like, yeah, it was.
You were quick with that mute button too, but well done.
Only a couple years old, so this is within 10 years max.
I just don't understand why this would come up again. We haven't done anything, and the letter was about the frost giants or the storm giants.
Yeah, so it says storm giants specifically.
Specifically, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to bring this to the attention of. Well, is it? Is there not like a grandmother thundercloud also like looking over us all? Is it Shireen, or is it that communicates as well with like the
omens? Yes, Shireen gets.
Does she also like? Is it a two-way thing, or is it just a one-way?
Well, you all can kind of, especially you, because that's your mother. The thundercloud is your mother who passed on into that new form of life as a thundercloud. So I imagine that you would be able to, consult with her if you just kind of honed in and concentrated.
Yes. So I think she will try to do that right now. Does she go outside for it first?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. She's like, I have to ask. Mothers need mother's help too sometimes, and she heads outside and has taken the letter and sort of looks up to the sky and sort of closes her eyes and tries to convey with thoughts and up to is it Edgwa?
Yeah. You take this time, step outside, past the dragons fighting with snow, which they've kind of died down now. They're still kind of like now they're making little snow castles right now.
Yeah.
So, you walk out past the courtyard and out onto the glacier, the open part of the glacier, and you look up to the sky and you see Edgwa rolling across, and you just within you call out to her, and she responds. She says, "Yes, daughter. They are still out there, lying in wait. I can see them. The red one knows.
The red one.
Follow the red one. He will take you to them."
Okay. Mother, what did we do to make them behave such a way?
We simply are, daughter.
I thought as much. Thank you. I will follow the red one and see what we can learn. And she makes her way back in, which she is also back to giant form at this point.
Okay.
To get armored up and all that, and says, Spencer, please.
Yeah. Yes.
Please, Are we all ready to set out? I think Edge was told me that perhaps there are more answers that wait for us at the end of this path.
You can speak with her?
She's my mother, after all.
Can I speak with her?
Maybe. Have you tried?
No. How do you do it?
I simply, I see her in my mind's eye. I reach out to her with my heart, and there she is.
I want to try one day.
Spencer is just standing like hands on hip at the exit.
Yeah, and so Neriphilia just like puts the other pauldron on. She's got like a sort of like gladiatorial, I don't know what they're called, the skirt things.
Got it.
And like, yeah, kind of like, it's not to stay warm because she doesn't need it. It's like very much like a tank top and like a sort of gear and a giant great axe on her back. And she just sort of like stretches her muscles like, all right, shall we? I saw you had a gaggle of dragons outside. I presume you'll be taking. Otherwise, you know, the shoulders are always available.
And that's the exact moment he'll walk up to you and be like, a piece. A piece.
All right. And she does so. And turns to anyone else. I mean, you know, the dragons are welcome to anyone.
The dragons will do fine. I'll fly.
Just has the biggest shit-eating grin, shall we say, because he could be shirtless now, and he's like, "Oh, that feels just so nice." This is all that. I mean, I'm probably gonna keep this like wolf fur cape because it kind of looks cool, but everything else, just having my arms being able to move, is wonderful. I think I might give Emer a little bit more if I could find something that was the ring's worth its weight in diamonds, I tell.
Okay, so with the freshly shirtless again, Jesse, the party, we're actually going to cut ahead. You were led by the Red Slotty down a ways, east of Nerphilia's and Gibron's cavern, ice cavern. The Red Slotty leads you to this place that's kind of on the edge of the Rivara clan's territory. And Spencer says, here it is. Yes, it's exactly where I remembered. I've come here a few times, and sometimes I see tracks, sometimes I don't, but I'm not very good at noticing things, but I did find something here. We can go down here. Oh, it's kind of, you big folks might need to...
Right. How much?
The entrance is about 10 feet tall.
Okay. Neriphilia goes to a comfortable 9'5".
Okay.
It's the same height. So we're around the same height. So you see, I think Latrell is now used to people like shrinking down on his shoulders. So when he notices the height change, he's like, grab one tight.
That sounds like a fun ride.
Oh, yeah.
So you shrink down, and Shireen does the same. You both shrink down to Latrell's height.
And that's when he hops off.
Great. Just in time. Spencer leads you down into another cavern, and this one kind of slopes downward into the earth, but the glacier, the ground of the glacier. And there is some like dirt and mud mixed in with the ice here at the bottom, at the floor of this. He leads you down into this sloping tunnel, and he says, I've been down here lots of times. It's safe up until this one point that I don't know what's past it because I haven't figured it all out yet. But leads down. It's about maybe like 100 feet deep. And at the end of it, there is a cavern, a kind of a round, almost not perfectly circular, but naturally circular cavern. Same height, about 10, maybe 12. It opens up a little bit more here in the ceiling. And you see several different routes now where the tunnels and the caverns continue. And you see little like X's above some of the caverns openings. And Spencer says, or not above, to the side of, let's say. Spencer says, so those are the ones that I've explored and there's nothing in there, there's dead ends. But then there's other ones that I just like, whenever I'm going to like explore them again, my master, I feel like I've been gone too long, so I didn't have to go back. But I found this a few weeks ago and there's a few still to explore. You said that your cloud lady said I knew stuff, because I don't know stuff.
I think it was rather that perhaps something waits at the end of this path for us that might shed some light.
So I found something important.
It sounds like you might have, yes.
Wow. Wait till Yura hears that. Maybe she'll have me get me more insects to eat. Okay, well, I had a feeling maybe we should go down this one next. That's the next one I was going to explore.
Then I think we should follow that feeling.
Okay.
Check the surrounding area for any recent signs of entry.
Yeah. Go ahead and do do an investigation roll.
Oh, definitely.
I would like to ritually cast detect magic as we're moving.
Okay.
That's the same as it was on the floor. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Is investigation. Oh my goodness. No, I do not notice anything. That's a 3.
Got a 3? Okay. You don't notice any tracks? Maybe because it does look like someone kind of swept. You see actual lines of something. So if there were tracks, someone covered them up after themselves. Avis, you cast Detect Magic in this area, and down the passageway that Spencer wanted to go down, you get the faint presence of magic down there. And you are sensing you're sensing that there are multiple sources of that magic back there. Not moving, just kind of, there's something magical back there.
Well, there's something of interest over in this direction, actually. What shall we go? And we'll begin to walk down the path.
Okay. Spencer follows. And
I would, as we continue down the path, I would just quietly like to cast Without a Trace on everyone.
Okay.
Say, let's proceed with caution. It's all right with everyone else.
Great. So that gives plus 10 to stealth. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Neriphilia will stick to the back. Like she always wants to have eyes on Latria, basically.
Okay.
She'll always stay at the back so she can do so.
Latria is definitely the front. He always rushes forward. He always rushes forward.
Yeah. So it sounds like Avis and Latreyu in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then Spencer. Jesse, whereabouts are you?
How high is this place? Because just I'm going to be floating just a little bit because I'm going to pop out the wings.
It's 10 feet. Yeah, I would say 10 feet. And maybe a little bit slimmer on the side. So maybe it's like 8 wide, 10 high.
All right. So I'm just going to be about 5 feet up, I guess. Kind of like in the middle of the space, basically.
Okay.
maybe that's less than 5 feet. Maybe that's around 3 or something. Because Jesse's 6'4", so something like that.
Okay. Yeah, you're a few feet off the ground then.
Just a few feet off the ground. And I guess I'll be, I'm pretty fast, so I'll be behind. I'll be third in line or whatever.
Okay. And then Elliot?
I'll stick to, I guess, the middle area, probably where Spencer is. Around there. Yeah.
And then we have our mama, Neriphilia, in the back.
You said Shireen was with us?
Shireen. Yeah, yes, Shireen is here. She'll be in the back as well.
Okay.
And I think that's everyone. Did you leave the dragons outside?
I imagine so, yeah.
Okay. Then yes, that's the marching order of the people who are present. Avis and Latreyu, let's say you're kind of next to each other as you move forward down this tunnel. You do start to hear some movement up ahead, and I want you both to cast roll perception.
Okay.
Perception check.
13.
I'm going to use my first lucky point for that because that was a natural 2. Much better. Much better. Oh, wow.
Thank goodness.
Yes. 23.
23, okay. And Avis.
13.
Okay. Latreyu, you both hear the movement, but Latreyu, you actually, maybe because you're just more on high alert, but you hear voices of, sounds like a few different people speaking in common up ahead.
In his strongest possible way, he's going to try to whisper, which is very difficult for Latreyu. Very difficult. Stealth in general is extremely difficult. So he's going to try to whisper and say, "Voices up ahead."
Go ahead and roll stealth for your whisper. But you have,
and
you
make
have
sure to add that 10
Yep.
to
Yeah.
it,
Yep. That sounds about right.
please.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Here we go. Oh, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'm a plus 10, right?
Yep.
27.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Then you're fine.
Yeah.
There's this cloak of darkness around you, so and it is also muffling and keeping the sound from escaping. So you're able to whisper that to everyone.
Okay.
Give me a moment. I can see who they are. And he will very quickly play a soft song on his flute and cast the spell Mislead. And just for a moment, the air around him seems to fold in on itself and shimmer before it appears that he just stands up and walks forward.
Okay, so you're dropping your pass without trace, it sounds like.
I'd be disposed of. So Mislead makes him invisible and creates an illusion. So I don't know if that would drop it on other people, but on him, yeah, he is not hiding. Or his illusion is not hiding.
So the illusion you're creating is this song?
The song is the spell itself. The illusion is just him walking forward normally.
Okay. But you're invisible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you walk ahead of the group in this invisibility. Can they see or hear anything at all from you?
Yes, I can speak through it.
Okay. Can they hear the song? Would they be able to hear it?
Probably not. It'd be a part of the actual illusion.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. So you walk forward and you enter a smaller cavern here that's maybe like 20 feet deep and 30 feet wide. And you see 4 humans actually, wearing very plain, dark clothes, pretty unassuming looking. But you notice that number one, they're fully equipped on them. They have weapons. And you also notice that magic you were detecting outside in the other chamber was coming from this room, and there are just giant-sized magical items strewn around the room, several of them. You also see some other things that are probably not worth very much, just their rations maybe, and water sacks and things like that. If you'd like to continue, just observing them, you see that one of them is just like whittling something out of a chunk of ice, like whittling a little carving of some kind. The other two, one of them is kind of like lounging back, reclining. The third one is pacing back and forth a bit, and they seem to be in a deep conversation. And the one who's pacing says, I don't know why they still have us up here. But while we're here, what I'm saying is that maybe we should be more proactive. It's been a while. They haven't detected us yet. No one has found us. But maybe we can take down some storm giants while we're here. That's all I'm saying. And the one who's reclining says, we get paid either way. Why do extra? And the third one says, I agree with that. Okay? Look, if I can just take these things back home and sell them to someone, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to run into some storm giant's nest and take them out. That's not what I'm paid to do. I'm paid to wreak havoc, to sow discord, that kind of thing. Why do extra? And they're just kind of back and forth with this conversation.
Latreia. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Latreia. Did we all hear this or just Avis?
Just Avis, because Avis
walked.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Never mind.
His illusionary copy is going to step forward in front of all of them very clearly. And what exactly are you all doing around here?
They all jump up and drop what they're doing.
I believe you all are paid to do actual work and not to sit around and play with ice.
They are completely startled by you just appearing in the room, and their first reaction is to draw their swords. Now,
put your weapons down. I do not have time for this. Have the giants done anything different?
Wizard! One of them just comes at you. Go ahead. Let's roll initiative.
Oh, well, coming in like Darth Vader. I was like, man, I wasn't ready. Okay. Oh, okay.
Just Avis or all of us?
Everyone. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm seeing, is 19 the highest?
I know, 21 at the moment.
Okay. Latreia has, so starting from the top, Latreia has 21. And then I heard, was 19 next?
I think
Next.
Sorry, I can't see the chat very well because I'm on my phone. Can you just tell me your?
Oh, no worries. 21 for me.
Got it. And then Avis has 19. Jesse, do you also have 19? What's your both of your decks?
A +3.
Minus +2.
Okay, so we'll put Jesse 19, and then Avis, and then who is below 19 next?
17 for Elliot. Sorry.
Elliot 17. Okay.
That's definitely first because Neriphilia has got a 4.
All right. And then let me place our dear ones here. And then Shireen. Okay. And then last but not least, Neriphilia. Okay. So the sword is drawn from one of these 3 spies. And Latrio, you have first in the combat order. How do you react when you see the sword drawn?
Immediately there is a snarl of like almost a bestial nature as originally first of all, how high of the ceiling is above us? Like how does it look? Do we look like we have some room to grow?
Not much room to grow. The tunnel was 10 feet high. And once you enter the cavern, it just barely dips up to like 11 feet maybe.
Okay. All right. So just 11 feet total. Okay. In that case, he's still going to do it, but he only can get up to his 11 feet. So he's going to essentially move forward. Well, like I said, with that snarl, a bear like image appears on his chest. And then as he grabs his amulet, you kind of see this green essence of a ethereal woman appear from the amulet itself. She has long green hair, medium brown skin complexion, green eyes, flowing robes, looks absolutely gorgeous. Think of a lady of the forest type appearance. She pretty much appears from the amulet and wraps herself around Latrio as rune magic starts to appear from his arm and make it all the way up around his face. And he starts to grow. And as he starts to grow, he pretty much transforms into a full storm giant form. And then he's going to reach forward and just slap, bring down his great sword on the one who brought the sword to begin with. I will say, is there 4 of them? You said there was 4 of them, correct?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I said 4 out loud. Yes, there are 4 of them. I only mentioned 3 of them talking, but there are 4 in the room.
Gotcha. Okay, so this one could go. So yeah, he's pretty much going to take this individual out. He's going to attack twice.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Oh yeah, so he'd be reckless. So that'll give me advantage. So let's see. So it'll be 17. Okay, so I'll take So I'm pretty sure 27 to hit would be good to go.
Oh yes.
Perfect. All right. Let's see here. Get all the dice in place. This one should be inside. All right, and this one can be rolled. Okay. 18, 18. 24 points. 24.
Whenever Latrio is in combat, it's like, good luck.
That's why he has a slight murder streak. But yeah, that's 24 damage for the first hit. And then he'll go again for the second one. All right, well,
How much was that first one?
24.
So after the first one, this person slumps over and looks real bad. Real bad. How did you hit them? What did you hit them with? Your sword?
Yeah, with my sword. Is he dead or is he almost unconscious?
He's close to dead.
Okay. In that case, because he knows there needs to be more information given, he's going to use his second attack and hit him with the butt of the sword to be non-lethal, just to be on the safe side, just in case the others decide to drop.
You're not trying to kill him, you said?
Yeah, not yet, because he hasn't raged. If he was raged, then yeah, he'd be gone. I think right now he still is a clear enough mind to where he'd be like, I think we need these folks for questions.
I will tell you this, though. If you do any second attack with the type of damage you do, you're going to kill him.
Even
because he's
not lethal, right? I can do not lethal, right?
Okay, yeah.
Or does it seem like I could be able to grab him and then just slam him to the ground just to be on the safe side? Would that work?
Are you trying to do any damage at all?
Well, just to knock him out. I don't want to kill him right now.
Okay. Yes, you can knock him out. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I'll just grab him and pretty much do like a Hulk smash. All right. Well, yeah, that's definitely going to hit because the first roll was a 17. Yeah, so that'd be a 20. Yeah. So yeah, I'm presuming it should do enough damage. And pretty much you should see Latrio just grabs his leg, hit him up into the ceiling, and then just slams him down to the ground to knock him out.
He is knocked out cold.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's my turn.
That's your turn. Next is Jesse. So there's 3 of these people standing still.
Jesse is going to fly up into the room, and he is going to pick just one of them, and he is going to. You'll see that there's sort of like a glowing, sort of bluish ocean-colored energy that is swelling in his chest, and he channels it out through his hands and does his radiant sun bolts at the one there. So I'll take 2 attacks, and so 23 in the first one.
That hits.
18 in the second.
Yep, that hits.
And then I'll use a key point to do 2 more. It's higher than that. And again, higher than that.
Okay, so you got 4 hits in.
4 hits in. So it's D8 now or D6? Just got to double check. It's D6. So 4d6 plus 12. So that is 24 points damage. No, hold on. 12 plus 12, yeah, 24. 24 points of radiant damage. So
Okay, was that after all of your hits?
that's after all of me.
Okay, so you have this series of hits against this second person, and at the end of them, they also are now just like slumped over.
Talk as a free action.
Okay.
Y'all might want to lay down your weapons if you intend on keeping your lives.
The other 2 look terrified, and they see the rest of the party has filtered into the room. They see what they're up against, and they're both going to disengage. We don't want any trouble. Wait. Oh my God. Stuart, are you okay? And the other one looks at you and says, What do you want? What do you want from us?
Are we out of initiative order?
Yeah, I would say you're out of initiative now because they've disengaged.
I will go over to the one that Latreia just knocked out. Take whatever weapon was in their hands, throw it across the room, and say, Latreia, and I will toss him a health potion.
Okay.
It would be a health potion or him?
I'm tossing it to you with the nod to revive this man.
Latreia steps forward, staring at this individual. And you can tell, and this may be the first time Neriphilia would see, there's definitely that built-in rage. And this is not even at its fullest effect, but there's this tense up, fiery anger, especially at somebody that hates storm giants. And he looks down at this creature that he barely was able to keep enough rage back to not kill. And he says, "We're lucky." And he bends down, pulls open his mouth, pours out the potion.
Okay. So that one is revived. This is Stuart.
And as Stuart wakes up, I just put a hand on his chest and I say, "Okay, take it easy." And
he says, "What is it? What do you want from us?"
Look, frankly, we don't want anything from you, but we've heard all your plans and talk of killing storm giants, causing ruckus. Care to explain why?
One of the others says, "Look, we're just mercenaries. We get hired to do a job and we do it. That's it. We don't care either way." And the other one said, "We're not trying to die for this cause. I don't care. If you let me leave, I will leave. And we'll never look back again."
So then who hired you?
They all look at each other. And Stuart, still being held by Latreia, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah, Latreia. So fortunately, with one of the rooms, I already have advantage on intimidation checks. But Latreia is staring at this individual like one small move and your neck is broken. And so he stares at him and says, "I want to know everything. everything that you all know.
Stuart says, almost like just this spills from Stuart, just in an effort to save his own life. We've been here for about a year now, camping out. We found this spot not too long ago, and they sent us up here to continue this long, generations-long plot to take down the storm giants. First, it was the dragons, and they successfully got into the dragon's ear and made them have this, these inner problems. And so that was a successful mission. The mission continued. They sent more people to then infiltrate the storm giants and find out about them. And he pauses here and looks at you. Is that what you wanted to know?
Who is this? Who's in charge?
One of the others puts his head in his hand and says, "Oh God, we're never going to get hired again." And Stuart says, "It's the Black Network." Centaur.
Any contact that you have? Where do you get your orders from?
So once again, Stuart takes a breath, looks at the others, and just continues. Yeah, we can give you a contact. And he looks at one of the others, and the other person takes out a notepad and rips out a page of it and hands it to you, Elliot. You see a name. You see Malcolm Waldwell. And the person says to you, obviously that's not their real name, but that's what they go by.
When would you next be meeting this contact? I'm sure you get updates and report feedback on how well your efforts to destroy all of our friends is going. When are you next due to report on that?
In a couple of days.
Nearby, or do you have to travel?
We're going to leave in the morning.
If you wouldn't mind just letting me know where you meant to meet, and I assure you we have no plans to hurt you.
Yeah. We're supposed to head down to Castle Perilous. That's the meeting spot.
You've been delightfully cooperative. Hopefully. Sorry, Latreia, I got a little heated.
How big does this stretch out to? Are you all just located here in Vasa, or do you spread across the land?
One of the others says, "We're just hired hands. I mean, as far as I know, the Black Network is very expansive. But we're not higher ups or anything. We're just foot soldiers."
Jesse's time as a sailor, has he heard talk of the Black Network? And
yeah, you probably would have heard of. You definitely have heard of groups like this, because there are other spy networks on the continent that have operations like what they're doing. But yeah, I would say you probably have come across word of people like this.
They were probably the ones that tried to kill me when I was I am a child, but when I was a child in the forest.
I mean,
They look at each other and they're like, "We don't know anything about that."
this entire mile all over, buddy. All over. These people, they're just mercenaries.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you should take better work, though.
And one of the others, the one that was pacing earlier, says, "Well, I think we're not going to have a choice after this."
Listen, to all of you, And if I ever see you step around this location again, you would wish that we removed you here in this location. Is that understood?
They all nod fervently.
You could tell this was a struggle. This was a struggle. It's taking every fiber of his being not to pace all of these individuals. He stands up. I think at that moment he kind of like heads back to where his mother Shireen is. Let's say, this is what I deal with regularly. Happening.
Wow. Shireen says, they were basically in our backyard this whole time.
Probably set up better perimeters. Perhaps keep an eye out. And make sure we don't let anything take hold again. They never seem to stop. This has gone on for, well, I can remember years back, but I just didn't think it would come up again. Perhaps that was foolish.
May I ask something? In those treaties that you signed, did they make any promises should they turn their back on it? Because they've turned their back on it.
With the frost giants, that's who are...
Wait.
What do you mean they've turned their back?
Well, I mean, the treaties you have were, correct me if I'm wrong, they were to strike peace between these two groups.
Peace between ourselves and the Drognor, the frost giants. I believe this is the small folk, yes.
Okay.
Do you think the frost giants may be evolving this? Because if you notice, they did not target all giants, just us.
Well, I wonder if even that which we've experienced with the frost giants was not just a conceit of this group trying to stir trouble.
May I offer for the clarification, Ian?
Yes, go ahead.
The note, I'm just checking my understanding. The note intimated that this group also helped cause dissent within the dragons that was maybe responsible for our, like their inner conflict with the dragonkind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the white dragons conspired with this cult to get them to hunt the penguins.
If actually, in the interest of time, I won't have you roll for this, but you do put two and two together, realizing that the cult and the Hellfound dragons were just pawns.
Okay.
So this group, the Zentarum, sent in people to create this situation with the Hellfans and the Pins, and they used the Red Lance cultists as the pawns to help sow that discord. And going back to the previous question about the frost giants, those of you, I won't have you roll this just for the interest of time, but those of you who have like high arcana, you look around the room at those magical items you found, you see that they're from different types of giants. You see cloud giant relics, you see storm giants, you see all kinds of giant magical items. So they were in this territory, but they clearly have not just stayed in this territory.
I think we've got some work ahead of us. Neriphilia says to Shireen, perhaps we can return some of these to well, I guess I would know if any of them are somewhat neighborly, like neighboring regions, you know, to return some of these lost items and think on how we want to move forward and perhaps protect ourselves in a more unified way in the future.
If this scroll was there, then the Hellfans knew that they were being played.
Jesse, you have no reason to believe that they ever read the scroll. Because when you found it, it was sealed. And it was among other similar items that were looked of value in the treasure trove. But it didn't seem like it had been opened. And with that, I'm actually I just want to have one little epilogue scene, very quick one. Cut back to, we can say that if you all agree, if you'd like to, you would have taken these magical items. We can discuss the aftermath of this at the top of our next session, what you do with these spies that you found. But let's cut back to Nerphilia's cavern. She is tucking Latreyu in for the night.
Oh, what a grand adventure it was. Thank you for letting me come along, Latreya. And
Thank you. Well, so this is kind of what we had to deal with regularly, and I was glad to have you with me, at least here. I think if it wasn't for you and Shireen and Elliot, I probably would have not let those individuals go. So thank you for being back.
it relieved me to see the connection that Elliot and you have and the way that they looked out for you. It makes me feel more secure in seeing you set forth on whatever awaits you next. But of course, as you know, there's always a home for you to come back to here. For you and your friends, of course. But please be careful.
I will. And I will be back as often as I can. Now that I know you're here.
And she'll proceed to tell him his favorite bedtime story.
Aw. And with that, we will end today's session. Thank you so much, Josephine.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
Thank
so
you for
incredible.
having me.
That was so incredible.
Thank you.
Man. So as always, I always have a major high after sessions, and this is just incredible. So again, thank you all so much for coming by, watching the stream. Once again, thank you, Josephine, bringing in your fantastic acting and bringing Neriphilia to life. It was everything I could imagine. Thank you, Eliza, again for being just an incredible DM and shaping the world that we see around us. And of course, this fantastic cast. You all, every session is just great. So just a quick heads up, we will not be streaming next week because Lisa will be having a nice trip. I have a birthday coming up on August 16th. So, we're going to be off for about a week. But we should be back in the following week for episode 10. So once again, thank you all so much for coming by. And we're going to go ahead and raid. Let's get Wamo. I think they're currently
They're
right
on.
Yeah,
They finally got their stuff working again.
fantastic. All right.
Thank goodness.
So once again, thank you all so much. Once again, I look forward to see you all in 2 weeks for episode 10. Farewell for now.